everyone, Chicken here. In the last lesson, we went through selecting colors for rendering shadows. In this lesson, we'll be going through the same for highlights. When we have a portion of a subject illuminated by light, everything will be highlighted, including the lines and even the shadows within the highlights. So when we are painting, it's good to keep in mind that the shadows in the highlighted part will be lighter than the shadows in the shadowed part. Let's start off the demo with the lines. I'll choose a darker color than the base, but contrary to how we choose colors of light, I will turn up the saturation. And I'll do the same for her skin. Now let's start shading in the shadows. The color selection will follow the same process. Darker, more saturated, and the hue shifted to the right. And we can start shading in the shadows of the highlighted part. Again, we pay attention to where the light is coming from and where shadows might form. Like this part, because her hair is slightly poofing up, so there will be a wall that blocks the light. And here in her hair parting, where there may be more crevices and light cannot pass through as easily. Next, like how we introduce a secondary color into the shadow body, I'm gonna do the same for this one with a complementary color. And same technique as always, paint it on lightly, color pick, and paint the rest in. Now let's look at the big picture again. Between the large shadow and the large highlighted part, there will be a halftone. And for that, we are gonna color pick the mid-tone, turn up the saturation, and paint it into the halftone. When we demonstrated painting the halftone on the sphere, we had pretty soft light and a blurry shadow. But in this case, because we have pretty harsh lighting, our layers can be pretty distinct, so we can paint our halftone in like this without much blending. I'm almost just using my halftone color to sort of outline the terminator. Lastly, when we have very thin materials have light pass through them, it will appear extra saturated, especially with flesh, because the light shines through our skin and tissue, our blood capillaries will be illuminated to a bright red or orange. I picked the more saturated red for the halftone, and I'm now airbrushing on a light color. Things like plants and leaves will be illuminated in the same way. Sometimes what I like to do to make my highlights stand out even more is I'll go to the Hue, Saturation and Brightness tab, use the pencil function, and increase the saturation of the halftone area. And I did the same for the hair. I use the pencil function to just select the halftone area and turn up the saturation. And like this, the color of the halftone can be exaggerated even more. And like our shadows, our highlights can have highlights too. I'll demonstrate how I paint that in with a light spot on her nose. Similarly, I'll get a more saturated color, and we can use this to paint in our halftone. Then I'll pick a color of a highlight and paint it within the border of the halftone. And we're done. For the mission, finish up our simple portraits we started last lesson and color in the lighting. In this lesson, we concluded our chapter about colors with selecting colors for lighting. In the next chapter, we'll move on to rendering. We will start off the chapter with trying out 2 different rendering techniques, then later on, take our painting plan and turn it into fully rendered pieces. See you there!